Sayas. You are listening to WLUW Chicago 88.7 FM. And we have with us live at WLUW, broadcasting live from the Water Tower campus, Jazmin Robinson. Jazmin, you are in the running for the Congressional 7th District, and why run?
Thank you so much, Trudy. Thank you so much for having me. So I work in human resources, and part of my job is designing, building, and managing benefits. So that's medical, dental, vision. And I knew this year I wanted to, or the beginning of last year, I wanted to get more politically involved. And when the big beautiful bill passed and they said that 50,000 people were going to die a year from preventative care because they couldn't afford health care, I was like, there's something I have to do. I have to do something to help. And I decided to run, and that's how I'm trying to help the American people and the people in District 7.
Mm-hmm. When they said that 50,000 people are going to die, is that nationwide or in this district?
It's nationwide, and that's why I thought at the federal level, I feel like something had to go completely wrong if we as a country cannot provide universal free high quality healthcare, because I build benefits nationally and globally. So I see how other countries literally provide free high quality healthcare and education, and how it leads to innovation for their country, and that's what I wanted for the United States.
Mm-hmm. When they say 50,000 people, did you get a chance to check the figures? There might be more, or there,
There probably is. I would assume it's underreported. It was a couple universities that came out, but I think it was like Penn University and another one, and it's like one person shouldn't die. Like it doesn't, like, it's probably more, but like even just one person, that shouldn't happen. Not in the United States, not anywhere, honestly.
So you worked at Human Resources for how many years?
Over 13 years now.
Okay. And when you're in the Human Resources, what do you see? Are there gaps and lapses that in which the workers could get better benefits? Is there like already something wrong with the system?
Yeah, well, it's because the medical industry is just they're for profits, not for people. The fact that they're for profit companies is they should all be nonprofit, in my opinion. And that's what I do when I advocate for my employees, is when we have to renew our medical contracts every year. So that's why every company has like an open enrollment. And that's what I manage. So I have to negotiate with like Blue Cross Blue Shield or United Healthcare, and basically fight to get us a low renewal increase, because that increase comes to the company, but also more importantly to the employee. So I like, one time we had a healthcare provider and they wanted to increase it by like 30%, which was astronomical. Usually you get 10 to 12% increases a year. And so that was like insane, and we had to switch medical vendors, and actually the cost of benefits went down for medical care for all of the employees because the new company was like buying our business essentially. And so I was able to do that and still give high quality health care. And those are different ways that like I try to fight back at the healthcare industry. So yeah.
It is kind of difficult. So you have to fight very hard to get the good benefits. Are you on your own fighting these negotiating, or do you have a team with you?
Yeah, it depends on the company. So in some companies, I was the only total rewards. We're called total rewards when you manage benefit compensation, 401k, disability, and also equity inclusion. So at times I would be the only one, and that honestly is very hard. It's very exhausting because you're doing the admin work all the way up to like building, designing, and managing. And then at bigger companies, like I'll have a team, like I'll have a compensation analyst or a benefits analyst. That is actually the best setup, I think, because you have them doing the like administrative work, but it's also like hearing from their perspective. Like I think feedback's a gift, and I always have like an open door policy so they can tell me like what their thoughts are. And that's also how you level up, is like you incorporate your direct reports so that they can start learning and developing.
Do you get much feedback? Sometimes employees are so busy that it's hard for them to become engaged.
Yeah, it's very difficult. And some things, especially with benefits, because people forget like about their benefits till open enrollment comes. So one of the things that I love doing is doing like monthly like benefit education again, so that they can leverage all of the um, discounts and extra reward points they can get with their medical carrier.
Do you have much participation in those monthly meetings?
Yeah, we probably have like 30 to 50%, and we also record them so that they're available like on our internal internet. Um, and so employees can like look them at their leisure, and then new hires can come and look at those recordings too.
Um, for HR, there's also, of course, there's negotiating these contracts, the insurance contracts, but there's also taking care of the employees too in other ways as well. So that, I think, translates very well toward a elected office seat.
Yeah.
So how would you say that overseeing HR helps you in your seat?
Yeah, so when I think of and I didn't realize this because in HR, I also do compensation. So I review job descriptions, the roles and responsibilities, and then I price them compared to like the market data, like how much is the market paying for this, to ensure that we're competitive. And so I pull up basically the job description of a Congress representative, and they have to build and design legislation, right? Which policy, it's a policy, and policies are basically, in the corporate world, policies are like our laws, right? And so they have to do that too on a national level, which is what I've already done. They also have to, it's called constituent services. So they have to help their constituents navigate the complexities of immigration and other federal kind of bureaucracies, is what I'll say. And that's what I have to do too, because I have to help my employees get the right resources and tools to navigate like the complexities of the healthcare industry. And there are like government regulations that come down that I have to then implement for like the when COVID happened. There were a lot of regulations that came down, so we had to teach not only myself but also my employees about their new benefits. They got additional sick time, and like told them how to like file these to get the additional sick time because of COVID. So that is very similar to what a Congress representative does. So I'm taking my skill set of human resources and bringing it into Congress.
And of course, there's also employees too. Are you at all involved in helping employees like do better? Some employees do a great job. Some employees don't do that great of a job. Are you involved in that? Because you always have your own office when you're in the seat, and then you have to oversee that.
Yeah. So are you referring to like direct reports?
Direct reports. Any contact, and all that.
So there are different, like, I'll say sub-departments of HR. And I've worked all of the sub-departments, from like being a human resource business partner, which that person directly gets feedback from not only the leadership but employees. So if employees have concerns, they go to it's called an HRBP, and then I meet with my HRBPs on a like weekly or bi-weekly basis to get their feedback from the employees of like what's going well, where they're confused on. But I also there's talent acquisition, and they are recruiting, so I meet with them to understand like what are the potential candidates that we want to hire, like what are they asking for, to get more market data. So that is how I like collaborate. And then you collaborate with your different departments. Like finance is really big. You want to make sure that you're staying within budget, right? So I collaborate with the finance department. And in terms of direct reports, what I tell all my direct reports, and I tell myself this too, is like, nobody's perfect. Like, nobody can be perfect. You are going to make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes. It's okay, as long as we identify them and then put an audit in place so that we can catch it the next time. And so it's being a direct report of somebody and then having direct reports, it can be you're nervous. You don't want to upset your boss, right? But I always try to lead with empathy and grace in knowing that. And if one of my direct reports keeps making the same mistake, and I'm coaching them, but for some reason they're either frustrated or they're just not wanting to do it, I will then have to put them on a performance improvement plan and then let them go eventually, because they're doing a disservice to the employees.
When you mentioned earlier that you had you felt that healthcare should be a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Did you do any research into it? Is there any country in the world or countries in which healthcare is a nonprofit?
Yeah, well, in some countries, like we'll look at Japan, for example, they put like caps on things. So, like, because you do want to get some profit off of the company because they can use the profit to do more research and development. So, so Japan has like, they have like caps on it, and there's some like criticisms about that. But the goal is really to help the um, the citizens, and I think I love that part. And then there are also other countries. I think the Scandinavian countries like Denmark and stuff. It's I wouldn't call them nonprofit, but they're it's basically free healthcare. And so those are the other countries that I look for, because you don't have to. There are other countries that have already implemented it and it's shown success. So we don't have to build from scratch. And when I built my bipartisan policy, the HEAL Act, I literally was watching documentaries about like there's Taiwan, Japan, the Scandinavian countries, because like yes, I do manage them globally, but I also don't know what I don't know. So doing research is really important to me, and that's how I was able to be like, okay, we can definitely do this.
So you're working full time while you're doing the research too.
Say that again. Sorry.
You're working full time while you're doing the research.
Yeah, I am. I think I am the only candidate in this race who is still working their full time job. I honestly don't know how they can quit their job. Like I need my job to pay my bills and for healthcare, unfortunately. And so yeah, the other candidates, they're working part time or haven't worked in a few months to a year, and hey, that's great for them. But like, I cannot afford to do that.
Mm-hmm. And so, what made you put together the HEAL Act? And what does H.E.A.L stand for?
Yeah, so I'm running on a bipartisan policy called the HEAL Act, and the H stands for free, high quality healthcare. That includes elder care and home visits. And the E stands for free, high quality education. That includes childcare, before and after school programs, summer programs, public colleges, and trade schools. And the A is for access to government and fair market. So I do research. I love digging into the details. So access to government means banning all PACs and lobbyists and moving to publicly funded elections, because there's actually a Princeton University did a study proving that for the bottom 90% of income earners, they have um, near zero impact on the laws and legislation that Congress makes, but the top 10% do. And this was before Citizens United, so it's probably gotten only worse. So it's really maybe the 1%. So we've been living in an oligarchy. That's an oligarchy when it's controlled by the wealthy or the few. And we've been living in that before Citizens United. So that's what I mean by access to fair markets, because these PACs and lobbyists basically buy our Congress representatives by funding their whole campaign, right? They do huge donations. And so the candidate can just win. And then those candidates who win because of all these big donations from like the top 10% or 1% are then loyal to their donors. That's why you see Congress representatives vote against their own voters' best interest and vote to help their donors to get them that huge tax incentive. So that's what I mean by access to government. And then access to fair markets is breaking down monopolies, because they hurt small businesses and raise costs for all of us. And then the L is a living wage, and that's indexed to like inflation, but with credits for small businesses, because I don't want to hurt that part of our community. Mm-hmm. And we can pay for it all if we just return to the fair tax system we had under FDR, who's a Democrat, and Dwight D. Eisenhower, who's a Republican, because I believe they knew the best thing a government could do is invest in its people. Like FDR's New Deal, that's what created our middle class, and that's what the HEAL Act is. It's like FDR's New Deal 2.0. And yes, we can pay for it all and still have like about $1 trillion left over to pay down our U.S. debt. And if we just have fair tax plans and close tax loopholes.
So FDR's plan had the New Deal funded the New Deal with taxes, right?
Yes.
And then those taxes suddenly shifted to pay for what?
So the taxes pay for like the GI Bill, so people could go and get like free education if you served your country. It created jobs and fair markets, more safety for employees too. And at that time, it was, there were like between companies and employees, it was like they were literally at war, where police had to come in. A lot of labor leaders passed away, unfortunately, from, it was literally, it was like a war zone when they would strike. So it also stopped the civil unrest. And I totally understand why why there was civil unrest there, because the inequality was just deplorable, and we're kind of in that same situation right now. It also built our interstate highways, so investing in our infrastructure, and yeah, it built the middle class because people could afford to live in their country, and yeah.
Well, there's a lot of infrastructure that needs repair, so there's plenty of work for people to do.
Yeah, and that creates jobs. That's like the beauty of it is like when you start investing in your infrastructure, you can mandate at the federal level that like you have to hire local, and then that will create jobs in your local community. Like when you look at District 7, there's the lead pipes. Like we need to replace those. That has significant damage on your health, on your brain development, and it can be permanent. I believe it's permanent, and so like we have to start investing in our infrastructure and fixing it, because it's killing our constituents, it's killing our country.
Oftentimes, when we talk about raising the minimum wage,
Mm-hmm.
everything else rises with it. Let's say there's a $1 increase,
Mm-hmm.
and then rent goes up, and food goes up,
Mm-hmm.
and everything, all the other bills go up as well. And then the people who make the minimum wage, they're back to zero because they're trying to make ends meet again. How could we maybe through the H.E.A.L Act, how could we address this so that that doesn't happen?
Yeah, so that definitely can happen, right? Like, businesses can raise the cost, but again, they're getting taxed fairly, right? Corporate tax under FDR was 50%. So if you take in, even like now, like big corporations like Amazon, they don't pay any federal taxes, and so if even it doesn't matter how much they raise it, if we still tax them 50%, we're allocating that money back, and we can invest in. So if we have free universal health care and education, like under the H.E.A.L Act, if a family were to take advantage of like all the benefits, they would save about 95,600 a year. And so it's like I don't want to put caps on, like, I know people are like, we have to put a cap on salary and things like that. It's like that to me is not addressing the root cause, where it's just like we just tax them. Like if we have progressive taxes and like tax the wealthy, and again, under my tax plan, if you make less than $1 million, your taxes either stay the same or go down. And then once you cross that million threshold, because like your taxes will increase then. And the people who pass that million threshold, they still get the tax benefits of the decreases before they hit that threshold, right? So it does help them. And then there will just be more business for them because people will have extra money to spend, extra money to save. So it just helps the economy nationally.
There are a lot of vicious circles going around here. Oftentimes, let's say I'm in a cashier job, and then I make about maybe 37,000. So that was a raise, but as soon as I made that, I don't get SNAP anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
then of course then that eats into the however much more I made from what I made before, and it seems as if I'm down to ground zero again.
Yeah, so when I think of the long-term strategy in this, because I do know the HEAL Act is a long-term strategy, so we have to help people now. And you talk about SNAP benefits. Well, the one thing that I think our Congress representatives really don't leverage are the grants. So the federal government gives $1 million in grants, or sorry, 1 trillion in grants a year. And what a Congress representative can do, and what I would do if I'm elected, is actually hire a grant director and a grant coordinator so that we can teach nonprofits and small businesses how to apply to grants, because it is very complicated. It's meant to exhaust you. It is like bureaucracy, and big nonprofits can hire a grant director to do this, but not every nonprofit can afford that, right? So my plan is to teach all over the nonprofits how to apply these grants, guide them through it, kind of like a grant boot camp, if you will, and then notify them whenever a grant comes up to let them know, hey, this grant you're eligible for, I'd recommend you apply. And some of the grants you can leverage are like for food deserts, right? So you can actually just build a local government-owned grocery stores, and those costs will not be skyrocketing compared to the Walmarts, right, of the world. So that's one way you can help it. So there's always, I feel like whenever I come across an issue, it's like, okay, how do we problem solve this? Because that literally is my job. I come across fires all the time, and it's like, how do we problem solve this? How can we think short term and long term? So that's one way we can do that, is like a long term strategy. And with grants, like, you can get money to build community centers, and community centers that lowers like biases because it's intergroup contact theory. So you can build community centers to reduce those silos, reduce those biases, and make your community. And I think that's the beauty of like other countries I see, like in Spain, is like they have a really community focus, which is beautiful. And then here in the United States, very like individual. So I think we have to like break that, because you are only as strong as your community, in my opinion.
When these let's see. I should write the when let's say grants. You
Yes.
said that the grants are very complicated.
Yes.
And then how is there any way to legislate that intricacy out so that the grants are more straightforward? Well, you've probably done a lot of grants. Do they need to be so intricate?
I haven't done any grants, to be transparent with you. Because it's just something I look at, all the like ways to bring federal money back into your district, and grants was one of them. And I have been researching, like, okay, in order to like be able to be trained for a grant, there are different like universities that offer like a boot camp, like a 10-week boot camp. So I know, like, win or lose this election, I'm going to do that boot camp, because if I can start teaching nonprofits now, I can't do it right now just because I am running a campaign, but after March 17th, I can start learning and developing myself so that I can go out into the district and start partnering with nonprofits to learn and develop. And the fact that there has to be a boot camp, like a 10-week boot camp to teach you how to write grants, is insane, because you have to, it's basically a business proposal. You're writing a business proposal saying, like, this is what you want to do, showing them the data of like why you have to do this. It's a food desert, and then the economic impact of it. And then you also want to partner with like a nonprofit financial service too, because you have to do a ton of reporting, because they want to make sure that you're not taking this grant money and just like not spending it on what you should be spending it on. And so you have to do a lot of reporting with your finances. So you can partner a nonprofit with a nonprofit like financial group who can do that reporting for you. They take like a small percentage of the grant, like 2 to 5%, and then you will be compliant, which also helps your grant be approved, because then you're telling the federal government, like, we will be compliant. We're partnering with this very reputable nonprofit who can do the financial filings. And so, like, does it have to be that complicated? To answer your question, I don't know. I don't think so, just based on like the other things that are very complicated in our government just to get something basic. So I'm sure it's overly complicated, but I do understand the need to have transparency in the financials and to just audit these individuals receiving the grants, or these nonprofits receiving these grants, because you want to make sure the money is going to where it should be going, which is the community.
And have you had a chance to look at some of those audits? Are these grants, are they serving what they're intended to serve?
I think the grant system is kind of biased, because not biased, but like the people who can get the grants are the nonprofits who can afford a grant writer. And so that's not a fair system. That's not inclusion and equity, in my opinion. And so I think that's like the other thing, because there are great grants out there. There's a grant out there for community centers, or for even like religious centers to put up security, like fences. And it's like, well, we can also try to get some of that grant money to build more community centers or interfaith community centers as well, so that we can start taking down these silos. And so I think right now the grant system's not working effectively, because only the very affluent nonprofits can actually access them, where the nonprofits that are smaller and they're like boots on the ground too, they can't access these grants. So I think that's like the thing that I was like, if I can help, it would be in this way.
And Bill Morton, he's the president of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, and I'm the administrator of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. So we've dealt with grants before, and it seems as if in some grants you have to put money up front. You have to like pay whatever you pay for whatever you need. Let's say $300,000 and then submit to get that money back if you win the grant. So that's very onerous on a nonprofit.
That is ridiculous, in my opinion. Hold on, I'm gonna write this down in my notebook because whenever I hear something new, because again, I had never completed grants, so I know that I will eventually find these things. So your feedback about that is amazing because I think feedback is truly a great gift. So with grants, money up front, and the other thing is like. And I have to double check the legislation on this, but as a Congress representative, you actually get, they're called community project funding. And it's a pool of money, and you can do, as a Congress rep, you can do 15 requests per year, and you can get 10 to 20 million back into your district to do certain projects. So maybe I can leverage that to partner with these nonprofits to get these grants to help build whatever we need to build in our community to make it better, or even replacing the lead pipes, as I mentioned before. So that's one way to do it. And then the other way, I think, federal surplus personal property. So a lot of Congress representatives don't leverage this, but basically what this is when the government gets new equipment, like new laptops, new medical equipment, they have to donate their old equipment, and sometimes they auction it. And what a Congress representative can do is like, oh, we have to donate this equipment. The Congress representative can be like, wait, I will take the equipment into my district. So you can bring like vehicles, you can bring ice ice storage, like freezers for food pantries, and laptops, medical equipment for your nonprofit hospitals and clinics. And so like that's another lever you can pull to bring more resources in. So like if you were getting a grant for something and for some reason that it was for a big, like to help buy something, maybe we can leverage the federal surplus to like find a donated piece of that equipment.
So you're running in the 7th District because Congressman Danny Davis is retiring. Did you get a chance to see if he leveraged these community grants, and if so, did he leverage all of them?
So for the community project funding, I believe he did leverage those. And then as far as grants, I honestly don't know. He could have, and I just missed it. So I'm not going to say with that's a fact. So I'm unsure about that, but I do know, like, I mean, I've been looking at like different Congress representatives, and I don't believe they actually have a grant director or coordinator on staff. So I think it's just like a missing pool of federal money that we can bring in.
And I'm assuming that you would need a coalition to for the H.E.A.L Act because the for-profits won't like it, and most of the elected officials are beholden to them. So do you have you researched whom you could build a coalition with, and any plans about that, if you could tell us?
So there are a couple like progressive coalitions in Congress that I would definitely partner with, and there's also the Black Caucus, so I would like pitch it to them, see if they like it, and then like there's a representative from Congress, his name is Ro Khanna, and he has been saying we need a new FDR type deal. And in my head, I was like, that's the H.E.A.L Act, friend. So I would partner with him as well, because the H.E.A.L Act, like I said, is like the New Deal 2.0. But I do understand that it's a long road. And people were asking me, like, if you could just do one thing in the H.E.A.L Act, what would it be? And I said, ban PACs and lobbyists and move to publicly funded elections, which, by the way, as a 2023 Pew Research showed that 72% of Americans want to limit PAC lobbyists and the ultra wealthy from campaign donations. And a lot of progressive candidates want that as well, and also Republicans, because they know that it's a way that basically the oligarchy buys your Congress representatives. And out of that 72% of Americans, it's 76 Democrats and 71 Republicans. So this is a bipartisan policy. And I think one way we can push those Congress representatives who have been bought essentially is by just going to their district and educating their voters on, look, this is why we have to ban PACs and lobbyists and move to a publicly funded election. And I do think Republicans and Democrats and independents could get behind this, the voters essentially. And I say that because I remember Bernie Sanders and AOC, they went to, I believe, West Virginia, which voted heavily for Trump. And when he talked about Medicare for All and explained it, people were like, yes, this is what we want. So I think that's the problem, is that we have to bypass these Congress representatives who have been bought, and we have to also bypass the media and just go straight to the voters and talk to them. Talk. And I know that's a long-term strategy, but like that's how we get there, is through communication and explaining it. It's change management. And that's what I do in HR. When you do change management, you tell them the path, you tell them the impact on them, and then you have like FAQs and you have this feedback loop, which if you go to my website, you'll see I have a ton of FAQs about the HEAL Act and about like where I stand on other issues. And also I have a feedback button on my FAQ page because I think feedback is a gift. So it's like an iteration, right? And I do understand the HEAL Act is a long-term strategy. So my short-term strategy is how I mentioned with those community project funding, that federal surplus, and then the government grants, and then unbundling contracts. So a lot of the times the government gives these big contracts of like 50 million to one company, which is probably a monopoly. And if we unbundle those into like 2 million contracts, $2 million contracts or $5 million contracts, then we can like focus on small businesses or medium-sized businesses so they can take those contracts, and that builds jobs in your local community. So I think that's another way to do it. And those are just the ones I found when I did research and investigated like the resources available to a Congress representative. There could definitely be more. So I have because some people were like, well, what's the HEAL Act's never going to happen? And I was like, I mean, with that attitude, it won't. And my counter argument to that is like, they said Trump would never be president and he's in his second term. They said Project 2025 would never happen. It's like more than 50% done. And they said that our states wouldn't be invaded by our federal government and they wouldn't kill our citizens, and that has already happened with ICE. So I think for people who say the HEAL Act will never happen, I would encourage you to just believe in it. Like, just shoot for the stars. Like, honestly, what's the harm in trying? What's the harm in going behind this bill and fighting, like, as a voter? And in educating not only people in your community about it, but like people nationally. So when I was getting my petition signatures, or whenever I'm canvassing, and somebody's like, oh, I don't live in this state, I literally still give them my flyer, and I'm like, hey, even if you don't live in my state, if you like the HEAL Act, send it to your Congress representative and ask them if they'll do it. And if you want it and they say they can't do it, then find somebody in the primary to vote for that says yes to this. You will find somebody. So that's how we make it a movement, is by just telling people. And let's not limit ourselves to what is reality or what's possible, because we are living in an unprecedented time. So let's make some unprecedented moves, like no one thought FDR's New Deal would happen, but it happened because the people were behind it. So I think that's my message to them. But also I have short-term plans to like help my community now.
Mm-hmm. This is WLUW 88.7 FM, Chicago Sound Alliance, broadcasting live from the Water Tower campus of Loyola University. And we have with us candidate Jazmin Robinson, who is running for the Illinois 7th Congressional District. There are a couple of questions.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you love feedback. Do you get a lot of feedback from voters?
Yeah, the feedback that I got was like, you'll never be able to do it. Like banning PACs and lobbyists, somebody was like, I'm a lobbyist, this will never happen. Or like, healthcare is too complicated, you can't make it free. And I'm like, but you can. Other countries have done it. There's another country, they just passed a bill this month. I'm blanking on it. I think it's Scotland. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on the country. But they just passed a bill that basically says any future bills have to be, or any future like business, it has to be local business. Like, we're going to prioritize local business so that the money can stay within the district or within their country versus being like exported out by like companies who aren't local companies. And so it's like other nations are putting putting steps in place and laws in place to protect them from PACs, lobbyists, and the ultra wealthy. So it's like we can do it. It's just like what I'm saying, what I believe is happening is the ultra wealthy just tell you can't do it, and they give you all these reasons why it doesn't work, and it's like, okay, let's talk about those reasons, because I'm pretty sure we can find an actual thing like globally that it does work, and we probably have proof of concept already. So that was kind of the feedback I got back from some folks. Those were Republicans too, because we have Republicans in our district as well, and some people are like, oh, I'm a Republican, and I'm like, hey, that's okay, I'm a Democrat, can I get your feedback on this bill? And for the most part, they do like it. They love the banning PACs and lobbyists, so I'm like, okay, well, if we can agree on that, we can just like do that, and then we can figure out the rest later. So that's kind of the feedback I got for the most part.
Was there a lot of feedback, like kind of percentage-wise? Did you feel like it was just a couple of people, or I just want to see the extent of engagement of voters in the process?
Yeah, so to get on the ballot, you have to collect petition signatures, and I collected 3,069, more than other progressives in this race, and I collected the majority of the signatures myself, which I guess is not really a thing that candidates do.
Well, working full time, right?
Yeah, working full time. So I would do, like, right after work, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to collect signatures, and then on the weekends, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to collect signatures, and the reason I was able to collect that many signatures is because people loved the H.E.A.L Act. Like, they would take my flyer, because I would go to like farmers markets. They would take my flyer, they would read it at the farmers market, and I remember one guy ran out and he's like, wait, is this in Congress right now? Like, are we gonna do this? And I was like, if you elect me, I can put it in Congress. And then another person, I was canvassing outside like a Jewel-Osco, and it was this young man, and I gave him a flyer, and he was walking past me. He's like, okay, I'll look at it. And then he was coming back, because I think he went like to like the corner store or something. He was coming back, and he literally screamed, I love the H.E.A.L Act. And I was like, thank you. So there's been so much positive feedback. And even the Republican folks that I ran into, and one libertarian, he signed my, like, because they like I think what people like the most is that I have a plan. I'm not just saying Medicare for all. I'm like, okay, this is how we can do it, and this is how we can fund it. I'm not saying like we need better education, or we need childcare credits. I'm like, no, we can get this for free, y'all. Like, we basically used to have this for free back under FDR. So I think that's proof of concept that it's actually very popular, bipartisan. And I even had Republicans and one Libertarian sign my petition sheets to get on the ballot. So it's just like, that's proof in concept that, like, and I think that's the media, and I will say the far right and the far left, they keep saying like, we can never be bipartisan, and the right are evil, and then the right is saying the left are evil, and it's like, can we start focusing on what we agree with? Like, let's just look at that. And I understand there's been trust broken, but at this point we're like building from the ground up when it comes to our democracy and our benefits essentially from our government. And it's like, if we agree on this, like, let's just move forward with it. And yeah, so I think that's the feedback I've gotten essentially. And then also like, okay, well, this is going to take a long time. What are you going to do short term? So that's why I developed my short term plan too, of like, okay, this is how we can invest in our community right now as I do my long term strategy.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for being so patient and bringing the plan to the people.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that there are a lot of people that love it. Did you have any people that said, oh, I don't like it?
I think yes, there was this young Republican man, and this is the only time I heard it. I was like, because I asked for feedback, and I was like, all right, do you have any feedback on this? And he said, I like, he liked one thing, but he was being like cheeky about it. Because for my healthcare, it says you can keep your jobs insurance if you want, or you can go to the free high quality public plan. So it's like your choice. And he's like, I like that you can keep your job insurance. And then he left, and I was like, okay, so you don't like anything about it, got it. And so, but I also like take that as like an opportunity to educate. Like, he didn't want to engage in conversation, and that's okay. But that's like, sometimes when people are stuck in their beliefs, they have a hard time getting out of it, because I think what the biggest issue right now with politics in general is like, people choose their politician based on like likability, not really on policy. So it's like a parasocial relationship. And I hate to say this, but it's absolutely true. Is like, no elected official or no candidate who's running is your friend. You're hiring an employee to do a job. So we need to make sure that they're qualified, that they have a strategy, that they have a plan, that they have a proof of concept, right? And so I think that's what's happening. It kind of happened with like kind of with it started with Reagan, right? He was actually an actor before he became a president, and he really used the media to like showcase him as like a great like family, the great nuclear family, and the voters bought it. So like I think that's where we as voters need to stop looking at our elected officials as if like, you know how like you look at, you're a Bears fan, you'll always be a Bears fan no matter what. No, you're gonna like, you're so loyal to them. And it's like, we can't have that same loyalty to our representatives, because you may have to fire them if they're not meeting expectations, and that's okay. So I think what candidates try to do is leverage your emotions by saying things that resonate with you and trigger your emotions. But what I would encourage people to do is like, when they trigger that emotion, like, let's think about like what they're actually saying, and like, do they have an idea on how to do this? And a lot of them don't. They just say Medicare for all, or I'll fight for you, and I'm building a coalition. It's like, okay, but how are you going to help? Like, how are you? I'll bring federal dollars in, but like, are you specifically saying how you're going to do that? No. So then you don't have an idea. You don't have a plan to do that. And so I think like, we as voters, we need to set our qualifications for these representatives, because being in Congress, that's like one of the most important jobs. A Congress representative is basically your human resource business partner. That is one of the most important jobs. So we can't keep electing based on like personality hires, I guess, or likability. We really have to look at their policies. And I know it can be exhausting to look at a website and policies, but here's my other counter argument. If you go onto their website and you don't know what, like, it's unorganized and you don't understand it, maybe that's a clear example of like why that person might not be the best choice. Like, if you can't go to their website and be like, okay, this makes sense, that makes sense, they cite their sources, they have credible data, they have a plan, great. So I think that's one thing that like, we as voters, because I'm guilty of it too. Before I decided to run for office, like, I was like, okay, vote blue no matter who, like, the Democrats are safe. And it's like, no, there's corporate Democrats now. Like, they're not working for you, they're working for their donors. And like, when you look at these endorsements, you also have to think like, who's funding this person who's endorsing them? Like, where's their money coming from?
Speaking of funding, let's say that we do cut out the PACs and that kind of funding. So do you think we'll see any more commercials? Like, will we have any more TV commercials, radio commercials, any more mass reach of the candidate's message?
Yeah, I think you can make it so that you can, because you can literally build a policy on publicly funded elections. So you can give the same resources and same exposure to all the candidates, right? Like, every candidate can get one radio commercial, two radio commercials, or also like TV commercials. Like, you can do a national like town hall or debate where people can come in and like view it, or like view a recording of it. So like, yeah, we can set it up so that it's equal opportunity for all candidates, but it won't like inundate you to nauseum. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
The League of Women Voters, there was another race that in which I spoke with the candidate, and then she said that the league required that you have to poll like first and second in order to even or maybe third in order to participate in the debate. And I was always under the impression that the League of Women Voters is very fair, and they're the gold standard for debates. But that's excluding a lot of other candidates and their ideas.
Yeah, I think it's such a disservice to exclude other candidates. Like, in my opinion, if they got enough signatures to get on the ballot, that the community is saying, yes, we are going to support this. We want to see more of this candidate. That's what they're saying. So if they're able to get on the ballot, I think they should be able to have a place to speak, because what some of these forums are doing is like you have to put, for example, the women of league voters are like, you have to pull the top three. Well, the thing is like how PACs and lobbyists work is that they inundate you with media, with commercials and radio, so that you have name recognition. And a lot of voters, they vote on name recognition, unfortunately. So they are unknowingly helping the oligarchy. They're helping destroy our democracy, not intentionally. I'm not saying that, but they are helping it by limiting the diversity, because the true progressives who want to take down the oligarchy, they're not going to get PAC money. They're not going to get lobbyist money because they're going up against the oligarchy. And other forums do like a limit, and like if you have to you have to have fundraised a certain amount, like $200,000 to be part of their forum. They are, by doing that, you are again destroying our democracy, because it's voter disenfranchisement. We saw it with our Senate race, right? They only did the top three, and it's like, no, y'all, if they're on the ballot, they should have a place to speak, because you're basically deciding who gets that platform, and you're hurting our democracy.
Yeah, that's exactly the race that I was referring to.
Oh yeah, the
Yes.
Senate, yeah. And
Yes.
I thought it was, look, I'm not trying to throw shade at that organization. They're civically involved, which is great, but I think we also have to, I think it's okay to give feedback. I think it's okay to give feedback and just say like, hey, this is a clear path on how you are hurting our democracy, so can we please adjust it?
A couple of quick questions,
Yeah.
because we are almost running out of time. For approved vendors, the city has approved vendors, and then if let's say the state, do they have approved vendors too? And does that keep people from doing business with the state?
Approved vendors, like I would want to know what are the requirements to be approved vendor, because it's also who unfortunately, and it's like, again, are you looking at their business proposal? Because they may be hurting it. Like maybe Walmart's an approved vendor, but like we know that they don't pay a living wage. And so what ends up happening is those people who work, the employees of Walmart, have to go on like SNAP or have to go on some type of social benefit. And that's literally the tax dollars subsidizing these corporations. So it's like, how about we look at like the true economic impact of these organizations to make sure that it's actually helping our community.
What about your H.E.A.L Act? How many pages?
Oh, how many pages? So if you go to my website, I have two versions because people like to digest things in different ways. So I have my flyer up top, and so you'll see this is a very high level breakdown. And then if you scroll down, I have a detailed breakdown that goes through like everything. Mm-hmm. And if you scroll even further down, there's a timeline. So if we, hypothetically speaking, we get a pass on day one, God willing, if we get a pass on day one, it could take up to 4 years to implement. And that's the other thing that like I think Congress does not tell folks is like, it does take time to implement these. These are huge. And then I cite all my sources as well. So I don't know how many pages it is, but
just approximately, is it like 100 or less? Or
no, it's probably like 10 pages if you were to print it up. So, cause it's like, yeah, I cite my sources. This is like the first draft of the legislation. Obviously you want to put more things in it, like making sure it's equitable, inclusive, and no biases. So yeah.
And also, we work with Anthony Travis. He is his nickname the tax doctor, and he's very adamant about taking school funding off of paying for off of property taxes, paying for full school funding, and also reducing units of government. That because the pressure on property taxpayers is so huge that I think 6 million Illinoisans actually fled the state. Have you heard about this?
I haven't. I mean, I've heard a lot about the property tax, and like, let's just be transparent. The property tax is biased and it's discriminatory. Like the data shows it. And what I suggested was like, well, why can't a Congress representative, because a lot of people are like, oh, Congress doesn't have control over the property tax. And I was like, well, and this is where I keep telling people we need to weaponize our laws. And what a Congress representative could probably do is file a civil rights violation with a DOJ saying that it's discriminatory. And I'm sure you can find a study that shows it. And then you can stop funding until it's fixed. So that's one way to fix it, right? I also don't think I do agree to a point that your property tax should not go, that should not determine your funding for your schools because it is biased. But also, what should determine your funding for your schools? Like, okay, like head count, how many children are in this area? Like, is it underserved? And I think that's what we need to start changing the way we measure these things, because to make it more inclusive and diverse, and also to make it more equitable and inclusive. And there are just so many laws that are very biased and discriminatory. So we need to start looking at those metrics and changing them so that they truly benefit our community and our country.
Because what Mr. Jarvis was saying is that that makes school funding so it helps the rich districts because
Yes.
they get the very good schools because they got a lot of funding.
Yep.
And then the poor districts are left to waste.
Exactly. And that's why I do agree with them, is like property tax is not the best metrics. It's like, what part of our community needs it the most? That's what we need to start looking at, is like, how can we redistribute these resources within our community, within our country, because we're hurting ourselves in the long run.
And there's like the way you see it, there's not too much of an equitable distribution of resources.
Exactly. There's not, unfortunately, and I'm sure it's not just in my district. I'm sure it's nationally in a lot of districts, and so we need to start addressing that so that we can build together and grow together.
Well, thank you so much, Jazmin Robinson, who is running for the Illinois 7th Congressional District. Jazmin, if our listeners want to learn more about you or give you some feedback, where should they go?
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for having me. And you can go to my website. It's Jazmin. It's spelled Jazmin. J Robinson, so it's JazminJRobinson.com, and check out those FAQs. I have resources on how you can save your SNAP benefits with the work requirements because there's loopholes, and I also have another resource on how local nonprofit clinics, medical clinics for you in your area to help you get either heavily discounted or free healthcare. So check out those resources because I'm really trying to help the community now. And you can send me your feedback in my FAQs. You can also donate if you want. I'm not taking any PAC or lobbyist money, only individual donations to ensure that no one thinks I'm bought. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jazmin. You are listening to WLUW 88.7 FM in Chicago, broadcasting live from the Water Tower campus of Loyola University. And this is Sunday Morning with Bill Morton. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So let me, I think my other interview is coming in.
Okay.
And maybe we could have him help us take a photo.
Yeah.
And then you could help us take a photo.
Yeah. Do you want to just smile at my camera because it's recording?
Yes.
So then I can do
Let me
snap.
get back in there.
I'm gonna put this up.
You can do a screenshot or something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, absolutely.
Okay. And I can definitely help with photos. Okay. I loved your questions. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. And let me turn